Welcome to the Pine Needles Learning Center. Our indoor-outdoor facility allows us to conduct golf schools all year long. The following tape is a demonstration by Peggy Kirk-Bell and son-in-law Pat McGowan, who will give you information on improving your short game and full swing. Mrs. Bell is doing here is practice swinging, striving for rhythm and balance. Notice how she turns to the right and then balances over her left side. Back to the right, through to the left. If you can develop the rhythm and balance in your swing in this manner, you will be able to improve your mechanics with ease and not struggle to keep your balance during your golf swing. We'll play one of Mrs. Bell's real swings in slow motion right now. Notice how she sets up with her left toe slightly flared. Her hands are on the inside of the left leg. Ball position for the 5-iron she has is just forward of center. And notice how the upper body is tilted to the right with the right shoulder a little lower than the left. You'll see this in every full swing setup. Now as we play her swing backwards, you'll notice as she turns away, it's a one-piece motion here. On her backswing, she's turning away with her upper body, leaving her legs rather quiet. When her arms get parallel with the ground, her wrists have already hinged. So it's a turn and set on the backswing. You can see how her arms are parallel with the ground and the wrists are hinged. And she continues to turn her shoulders so that she gets her upper body behind the ball over her right leg post. Notice that the hands are still away from the body. They haven't folded in behind the head, and she has a good coil, turning her upper body over her right leg post. On the downswing, Mrs. Bell will start down by moving back to her left side with her lower body. Notice how she's moved her weight back to the left and isn't throwing the club at the ball with her hands and arms. She's moving in her lower body, allowing the club to drop into hitting position. As she comes into the shot, you'll notice that her weight is to the left, pushed off the right foot, trying to lead the swing with the lower body, just letting the hands and arms follow as a result of a good body turn. Because she's turned her body well, you'll see both arms extend, head stayed behind the ball, and now she will swing through to a nice balanced finish with the head tall, standing over the left side. You'll notice Mrs. Bell's posture at address. Knees are slightly flexed, bowed at the hips, the back is nice and straight, and the chin is up. The other thing that's very important, that her arms hang nice and relaxed with the club reaching out to the ball in a comfortable position. Notice how the shoulders are over the toes. She is very balanced here. As we play the swing on the backswing, you'll notice the one-piece swing away. Notice how the club turns away from the ball because her shoulders are turning. She's not picking the club up with her hands, nor is she pulling it behind her body with her hands, just keeping the club turning away because of a good shoulder turn. From here, the wrists will hinge. You'll see the club work its way right up over her right shoulder. She goes to the top of the backswing. You'll notice that the club swung up over her right shoulder, and she has maintained her posture. You notice that she's still bowed at the hips with the same knee flex she had at address. From here, Mrs. Bell will be able to move to her left side, and that allows the club to drop into hitting position. Notice she's not struggling to get the club down from the top with her hands and arms. She's moving in her lower body, allowing the club to follow. Now as her body turns, the club approaches from the inside, and she gets to impact with her weight to the left and lower body leading the downswing. Hips are trying to turn out of the way so the club can just swing freely through the ball. As she continues her turn, she lets the club swing, and she finishes tall with the club up over her left shoulder, looking down the fairway to see where the ball lands. This is an ideal finish for everyone, where their body faces the target and we can see the bottom of the right shoe at the finish. Here's a drill you can do with a 5-iron. Hold the club in about the center, palm down, and just rotate your left forearm. This will build up strength in the forearm. Hold the club head on your thumb side, and as you get stronger, move further down the shaft, more towards the end, and just work on the rotation of your left arm to build strength in the left side. Here's a drill that will produce some club head speed for the average player. Grip the club in your left hand just below the club head, point your thumb down the shaft, stand in good golf posture, and make good turns. If you watch Mrs. Bell, she will turn and turn through, just allowing the club to swing. Here she puts her hand above her left elbow, trying to keep the elbow pointing down as she swings through the ball, letting the left forearm rotate and letting the club swing to produce speed. You'll notice as she stands in a good posture from this angle that she's in her same golf posture as if there were a ball in front of her, and she's turning and letting the club swing, never gripping it tight and slowing it down with the hands. Now she will hold her right hand above her left elbow to keep the left elbow facing towards the ground on the follow-through. Here's a good posture drill. Hold the club flat on your back and flat on the back of your head and bow at the hips so that your shoulders are above your toes. Then just let your arms hang naturally and you'll be in good golfing posture. Notice the back is straight, not rounded. Another way and an easier way to do this on the course is just to hold the club along your hips and just push your hips backwards so that your hips go backwards and your shoulders end up over your toes, and you'll be in that same good golfing posture. This next drill is called the baseball step drill. You'll notice how Mrs. Bell starts with her feet together, then she will swing back, step to the left, and swing through to a balanced finish. A very good drill for someone who has trouble moving their weight to their left side on the downswing. Turn to the top, step and swing. Okay, start with your feet together. There you go. Turn to the top, step and swing. Very good drill for weight movement. Here's a drill, just a walk-through drill. Put 5 tees in the ground and walk through and just hit the tees down the fairway. This develops tempo, rhythm, and balance. The last tee is a golf ball and just let it go. After you've practiced walking through with the tees, and notice the balls are about 8 inches apart, you can put a golf ball on each tee, but you want to have the same tempo, rhythm, and balance to these drills when there's a golf ball on the ground as opposed to just having a tee in the ground. Here we go again with golf balls. Back and through. Turn to the right and left. To the right and left. Nice and relaxed, just letting the club swing. Mrs. Bell is using a training aid now called a swing fan. The design of the swing fan with the 4 fins creates air resistance and makes you turn it away slow and use your big muscles on the downswing. As you watch her swing, notice back slow, big muscles pull the fan through. With the fan like this, with the air resistance, you can't swing it down with your hands and arms and produce a balanced swing. From the side view, you'll notice how she will be in good posture, turn away with her shoulders, bring it through with the lower body. And back with the shoulders, and then through with the lower body. The next teaching aid is the impact bag. And you really get to feel impact as you use this device. You set up as if it were the golf ball being played off your left heel in good posture and only swing about half speed. And you get to feel impact. Weight to the left and hands leading the club head. If you swing at the impact bag, you'll learn to time your swing properly so that you get to the ball by using your lower body, not swinging the club down with your hands and arms. Turn it back and boom, right there, holding impact, getting a feel for a good impact position. Now from the down the line view, you'll notice how Mrs. Bell again plays this just like a golf ball, only swings about half speed. She's in good posture, turns away with the shoulders, through with the lower body. Back with the shoulders, through with the lower body. And at impact, you notice how her weight is to the left, hips are open, and she's off her right side. A couple of very good teaching aids to use at home if you want to get loosened up for golf season. Here's PGA Tour professional Pat McGowan demonstrating a setup for a putting stroke. Notice the ball position is on the inside of the left heel, and the hands are just on the inside of the left leg. You always want to have your left wrist slightly ahead of the putter face at address. He's set up so that basically his left eye is over the golf ball right here. His head is slightly behind the ball. You'll notice the triangle form from his shoulders down to his hands. You'll want to use that triangle in your putting stroke and try not to be too flippy with your hands and wrists. As we play the putting stroke back, you'll notice that Pat keeps it low, and he's using the triangle. He's not using his hands, arms, or hands and wrists right here. As Pat swings through, you'll notice that the left wrist always leads the putter face, and he follows through. Never stopping at the ball, always following through. Notice the triangle from his shoulders down through his hands has stayed the same through the entire stroke. Here's a good little tip for you. If you take the markings on the ball, the name of the golf ball company or maybe some other design on the golf ball, and point it towards your target, as Pat has done here, notice he has the ball pointed where he wants it to go, you'll find that you really can improve your aim. So always line the name on the golf ball up with your target, and you'll find that your accuracy improves a great deal. Notice how Pat will walk in from behind the golf ball and then make his practice strokes. He walks in, makes 2 practice strokes going the direction he wants to go to get a feel for the distance, and then gets lined up. Now he already has the line on his putter, on his golf ball lined up, so he just lines up his putter and he's ready to go. Notice that he'll get set up when his eyes will be over the golf ball, his arms will hang nicely under his shoulders, and again watch his nice pendulum stroke from his arms and shoulders. Pat is setting up to hit about a 20-yard chip shot. He's only about 10 feet off the putting surface, and he has about 50 feet of green to work with. So he will play the ball to the right of center in his stance with a 6 or a 7 iron and keep his hands well ahead of the club face. His weight will favor his left side. His left toe will be flared out a little bit. Notice how close his feet are together. This isn't a big body motion for a chip shot. As Pat makes his stroke, notice the tempo and the rhythm to this shot. Always a little follow-through, always letting the body turn towards the target. This particular chip shot has a little break to the right, so we laid a putter on the ground to indicate Pat's target line. Notice how his feet will be pointed a little bit to the left. He has a little open stance for a chip shot, but his shoulders are parallel with the putter or parallel with his intended target line. Again, he is very close to the ball. The arms hang under the shoulders, nice and relaxed. This is similar to the setup for a putting stroke. And again, watch the rhythm and the tempo to this swing and how the body will turn towards the target even on a short shot. Pat is setting up here for a pitch shot. Pitch shot is played with a sand wedge or a pitching wedge, and it's usually in the 30 to 50 yard range, and it has to go over a bunker or up to an elevated green. When you're playing a stroke like this, you play the ball more in the middle of your stance, so your hands are just slightly ahead of the club face. They're not as far ahead as in a chip shot. A chip shot will stay lower to the ground, so the ball is played back in the stance. A pitch shot that we have here, the ball is more in the middle with the hands just slightly forward of the club face. Again, Pat has a narrow stance. The left toe is flared out. Weight favors the left side a little bit, but watch the motion. He will just turn to the right and then turn through and face the target. Turn to the right, through to face the target. Nice and relaxed, great tempo to this swing. From the down the line view, notice Pat's setup is very similar again to the chip shot. We've got the putter on the ground that indicates his target line, and his feet are set up a little to the left or a little open, but his shoulders are parallel with his target line. Again, he's fairly close to the ball. He's not reaching for the golf ball, arms just hanging relaxed under the shoulders, good posture, and watch the tempo to the swing. Back and through, facing the target. Pat is now set up to hit a bunker shot. Notice where the ball position is. This time it is up by his left heel, and his stance is a little bit wider, almost shoulder width apart. The hands are on the inside of the left leg, about even with the ball, and he is nice and relaxed. Again, you will see the tempo that he swings with in the bunker is not any harder than he would swing anywhere else on the golf course. The ball is played opposite the left heel because Pat will try and hit the sand in about the middle of his stance, and that sand will push the ball out and onto the green. If you put the ball back in your stance, you'll have a tendency to dig into the sand or hit the ball first. So always play the ball opposite your left heel. Turns back and turns through to a nice full finish. Always turn through to the finish in the sand. From down the line, watch Pat get set up, and now this is a little different setup than we saw for the chip shot and the pitch shot. We lay down the rake to show his intended target line, and now you will notice that his feet, knees, hips, and shoulders are pointed slightly to the left of where the rake is pointed. You set up open with your entire body for a sand shot. For a chip shot or a pitch shot, you open your feet and keep your shoulders square. But again, notice the good posture, very relaxed knees, bowed at the hips, arms hanging under the shoulders, and you'll watch Pat turn away and then turn through to a nice balanced finish. One thing you may be able to see, because Pat is set up aiming to the left a little bit with his body, he's opened his club face slightly, so the ball will come up a little higher out of the bunker and land very softly. Here we go. Turning away and then turning through so the ball lands nice and soft on the green. He has a nice relaxed finish. Again, in the sand, you set up a little bit open, but make sure you turn away and you turn through to a nice relaxed finish. Again, we'll see Pat get set up a little to the left with his entire body, digs his feet in for support, turns back, and then turns through to a nice balanced finish. Here Pat's showing us a drill that you can do at home with a chair, a desk, a table. He's getting set up in good golf posture with his arms crossed on both shoulders, and you'll notice as he's set up here, notice the distance from his right hip to the chair. And as Pat turns away, you'll see that he turns, and he's turning and creating a right leg post. Watch the right leg. At the top of the backswing, the right leg is in the same position it was in at address. You'll also notice that his legs are quiet, and he's turned his upper body behind the ball. From here, Pat will just turn forward to a nice, balanced finish. Turning over the right leg post to get the upper body over the right side, and then turning through to a nice, balanced finish. Here are a couple of examples of a sway. Moving into the chair, you would never want to sway to the right, try and shift too far to the right, nor would you reverse your pivot like this and move further away from the chair and hang over your left side. We're using that same chair again, and you'll notice how Pat is getting set up, and he's bowed at the hips so that his hips touch the chair. His backside is against the chair. One thing you'll notice in all good players is that from address to the top of the swing to impact, their hips turn, they don't straighten up or squat down during the swing. Watch Pat at address, and then watch him as he turns to the top of his backswing. When Pat's at the top of his backswing, notice how he's allowed his hips to turn, but because he has stayed in his posture, his right hip is turned and still is alongside the chair. Now as Pat turns through the shot, you'll notice that his lower body is turning out of the way, but his hips are still back over the end of the chair, which allows him to maintain his posture, and when he does that, he can get back to the ball consistently. See, as he comes through, his left hip is against the chair. So the one common trait in all good players is that they start from good posture and they maintain good posture. As you saw earlier in Mrs. Bell's swing, this is a perfect finish, standing up tall, looking at the target, and you can see all the spikes on the bottom of the right shoe. Watch the swing in regular speed. Set up, nice and relaxed, and just staying in the posture. Now here's a little drill that you can do with a long club, maybe a ball retriever or a bar like we have here that's about 7 or 8 feet long. Pat's set up. He gets in good golf posture, puts the bar on his shoulders, and practices his turns. Back behind the ball, and then through to the finish. Turn to the right, and then through to a nice balanced finish. Okay, same thing. Good setup. Put the club on your shoulders, and now watch his left shoulder. The end of the long bar will point towards the ball basket. It doesn't point right down at the golf ball, and his left shoulder doesn't point parallel with the ground. He stays in his posture and turns. Very important. Okay, Pat's using a Medicus club here. You saw how it broke when he picked it up with his hands and how it breaks when he yanks it inside with his hands. When he swings it smoothly, notice how it stays in one piece. That's why we speak of a one-piece backswing. If you pull it away with your hands, the club breaks. If you swing it back smoothly, the club stays in one piece. Another good teaching aid. This is a preformed grip club. It will help you with your grip. You get your hands on there correctly. You'll notice that this particular item has a club head on it that's a strange shape. The club head is a loop with weight on it. The shaft is curved, and this should teach you how to let the club swing, especially on the downswing. The weighted club builds up your golf muscles. The way the shaft is formed and the way the club head is formed, if you swing the club in a relaxed manner, you will feel the release of your body as you swing through. Notice as Pat swings through, he's right back to impact like Mrs. Bell, but he's allowing the club to swing. Notice how the arms rotate, and he's in a position here like he's trying to shake hands with that golf club. Most people fight this feeling, and they shouldn't. They should allow the club to swing as Pat is. Jimmy turns it away and just lets it swing through. Another good teaching aid. Here's a preformed grip club that is put on a 5-iron, so you can actually hit balls with a grip that's the same every time. You notice Pat gets set up here. He's in nice relaxed posture and just letting the club swing. Again, notice the tempo, the rhythm, and the balance to the golf swing. Turn away, let the club swing. That's what we're after, is develop that tempo and rhythm and balance. And once you have that, you will be able to make the mechanical changes in your swing if you do need to work on different parts of your golf swing. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is an armband. If you have a problem lifting your club up over your head like this because your elbows come apart, you want to use this flexible armband. It fits over your elbows, and it's just a gentle reminder that your elbows should stay pointed at the ground and not too far apart. Notice how that's just above Pat's elbows. When he turns away, you notice how now his right elbow is closer to his left, and the right elbow points at the ground. A really good teaching aid here for people with runaway elbows. Yeah, now right here, you're set up and you got a rather strong left hand grip, okay? You need to get a neutral left hand. Now watch what you do here. As you turn away, you get back here and you pull it back too far with your hands and arms. It's not a bad turn, but your swing ought to stop right here. Now, this wouldn't be that bad if you just didn't try and kill it. Okay? You just look like you're trying to hit it so hard instead of making a good swing at it. That's just the impression I get of your golf swing. You're turning your body, but it just looks like you're trying to murder this thing rather than make a nice consistent swing. At the finish, I'd like to see you standing tall in that left leg. You don't want to have your left knee buckled up like this. Okay, right here you could be standing about an inch closer to the ball so you wouldn't be quite as bent over. So you'd be standing a little taller. Now as you turn away, to me, you pull that club back with your hands. Your club face gets very shut. You've dipped a little, and now you're just trying to beat on it as hard as you can with your hands. Looks to me like you really need to work on your tempo and relaxing your grip so that you can make a nice, smooth, balanced swing. Right now, it just looks like there's too much effort to hit at the golf ball with your hands rather than trying to swing the club the way we would like to see you.